right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks for sticking around for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Paul Alexander in a matter of moments. And you can give us a call tonight, 412-575-2600. Paul, it was Plum Kennywood picnic day today. All my kids were there. I didn't go to Kennywood because I've been riding a roller coaster with the Pirates these last couple games. And again, tonight here today, the bull between the starting pitching, Mitch Keller. He's one win in his last 6 starts. It's been an absolute disaster. Over an 8 ERA in those starts. He was awful here tonight, spotting the Dodgers 5 runs. I would say 95% of the time you're not coming back from that. And the bullpen has just been bad. I still want to have Bucko fever. I still want to root for their team. They're still winning, right? It's still, maybe they take 2 out of 3 out of Miami and they right the ship here. But things aren't looking good, especially when you have injuries piled up with guys, probably your best hitters, 2 of your best hitters, O'Neal Cruz and Connor Griffin.
Well, amazingly, Rich, they're not having any trouble scoring runs, and that was always the big problem. How are they going to score runs? They had great pitching last year. If they would have scored 6 runs last year, they would have won 95% of their games. We looked at all those numbers that Skeens would have had they scored just 4 runs a game. The offense is looking good, even without Cruz and without Griffin. That's surprisingly, but you have that walk-off last week by Reynolds. You think, oh, the Bucks are back. You have that win last night. They rally and beat the Dodgers, the best team in baseball, the 2-time World Series champions. But Jim Leyland always said, momentum is as good as your next day starter. And unfortunately, your next day starter was Mitch Keller, and now Mitch Keller can't get anybody out, and that's really become a problem. 98 pitches to get through 4 innings. You might have to bring Ray Searage back because he was the guy that was telling everybody to pitch to contact, be efficient, get deep into games. You have starters that go 4 and 5 innings, and you have a bullpen that is just absolutely, they bring a gas can to the mound every time they get out there. You need to go deep. You need 6 or 7 innings out of a solid starter. You're not getting anything that you need right now other than runs, and runs without defense, runs without a bullpen, runs without a good starter. They're not going to amount to many wins, and that's the problem the Pirates have right now.
35 and 34. If you had asked me at the beginning of the year, I'd say I'd take it. But right now, I kind of feel like it's been smoke and mirrors with this team. Do you have that feeling?
It seems like they're right on that precipice. Like the defense has been really shaky. The bullpen comes in, they get a couple base runners. They usually walk a couple of guys. Then they kick the ball around a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like the other night, they give up 10 runs without even getting anybody out. It's been a disaster. You have to be able to throw strikes. They don't do that. They're not efficient at all. Aside from Ashcraft, even Skeens now, he needs, 100 pitches to get through 5 innings. They're not throwing enough strikes. I don't know if it's the ABS thing with the strike zone. I don't know what's causing them to be so wild, but you need to be efficient as a starter. You need to go at least 6, try to go 7, shock the world and go 8 innings for heaven's sakes. That would make a huge difference. The starting pitching and the rotation, they were talking about that was one of the strengths of this ball club. It's a weakness right now because they can't pitch and they can't field. All they can do is score runs, and it's not even getting them enough wins right now.
So what do you do with Mitch Keller? I mean, he's been an absolute disaster, as I mentioned. He's only gone 6 innings once in his last 6 starts. That is not acceptable for a guy that's supposed to be your number 2 guy, especially what we saw maybe the first 8 games, I think it was. He had like a 2.8 ERA, pitching lights out, looked like a solid number 2 guy. I don't know what is going on, but they have to fix it if they want to be a contender.
Yeah, and the sad part is, they could have traded him, at the trade deadline last year at a pretty high value because he is such a good, pitcher normally until August. Now, maybe, just maybe he's going to catch fire when you need him, toward the end of June and July because he has always been good out of the gate and he's always really faltered down the stretch. He changed some of his training regimen over the offseason to try to be a little stronger toward the end of the season. Maybe somehow, some way that kind of screwed him up for the early part of the season. But I don't know what you're doing. There's not much value there right now. Who's going to trade for Mitch Keller right now? Yeah,
you're right. You can't. If you look at his last 6 starts, he has an 8.38 ERA. You can't. Who's going to want this guy? The other things that worries me here moving forward, you got to get Connor Griffin back. You got to get O'Neal Cruz back in the lineup. I understand that they're hitting and they're scoring runs. Great. But how often are you going to get guys to produce guys like, Callahan, Flores, guys like that? I mean, they're minor league guys. They've done well here, but I don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah, and with Cruz looking at 4 to 6 weeks, and obviously anytime you have an elbow situation, even if you're not a pitcher, we've seen Andy Rodriguez. I mean, he's had arm trouble for the last 3 years. You have to allow that to heal. A lot of these injuries, unfortunately, require rest. Rest is a big deal, and if you can't get any of that, you're in big trouble because you're never going to get healthy. And I think Connor Griffin, at 20 years of age, he hasn't thrown all that much. I mean, he's a shortstop. He's not a pitcher. You got to get that arm healthy. So I think they're going to really be cautious with him. Again, you stated that they're still scoring some runs without their two best offensive guys. I don't think that's sustainable. You need to get Connor Griffin back in the lineup. Yeah,
it was nice to see him throw it from 90 feet yesterday. We'll see if he's coming back soon. All right, we got to take a break. We're going to take some phone calls coming up next. 412-575-2600 is the number. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Optima Stats. Jordan Stahl, February 2007, 5-game goal streak at the age of 18. We all remember that around here. And then June 2026, 5-game goal streak at the age of 37. He's the only player in the NHL history with a 5+ game goal streak, regular or post, as a teenager and at 35 or older. Jordan Stahl still has game, Paul. I remember we were there covering the Stanley Cup in Detroit when he was around, and, was a good player here. It's nice to see him having success.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Stahlzy, as he was well known, he hasn't changed very much. I mean, he's still a big, strong, physical player. That third line of the Penguins, all the cups that they won, they always had this amazing third line. They could match up with Sid. They could match up with Gino. They couldn't handle the Stahl line, and that was a big difference. I can't believe he's playing as well as he is right now. That's incredible. Happy for him.
I know. I can't believe he's still playing, honestly.
I know.
But, that's incredible. All right, let's hit the phone lines. 412-575-2600 is the number. Let's get out to Tom in Crafton. How you doing, Tom?
Oh, hey, Rich. Hi, Paul. Yeah, the Pirates are in some big trouble here. For a while it was the bullpen issues, and they couldn't find the middle guys, or having difficulties with that bullpen. But now the starters, Mitch Keller's a huge disappointment. I don't know what you do with him. And I know they changed, someone had mentioned about changing pitching coaches this year. And, of course, people want to point fingers, but I still want to know why they got rid of the previous guy's name. What was his name? I can't remember. Marin? Oscar?
Yeah, Oscar Marin.
Oscar Marin, yeah.
So I don't know what the point of that was, unless he wasn't well liked by the players. But this team they're a 500 team. If they don't right this pitching staff, they're going to be a 500 team this year, Rich. They won't make the playoffs.
I mean, there only has to be really, Paul, one player. If that player doesn't like you, then you might not be around. But Keller, I don't know what's going on, because he proved that he can. No matter who the pitching coach is, Paul, the first 8 games of the season, he was a stud. A 2.87 ERA. He was almost unhittable. And now all of a sudden he can't make it through 5 innings.
The late, great Ray Miller was an outstanding pitching coach for the Pirates when they were so good in the 90s. He said, I'll help 3, I'll hurt 3, and I won't make a difference with the other 3. So when people get talking about coaches in baseball, when they're not hitting, it's about the hitting coach. No, it's about the individual players. You have to come in and get people out. You have to throw strikes. You have to have command of your fastball. You have to, move the ball around. Watch some old Greg Maddux tapes or something. Learn how to pitch. I mean, for heaven's sakes, they just come in and normally walk the first guy they face. They don't do a good job of situational pitching. And I don't know how Don Kelly, Dotel was pitching so well. They bring in him the other night. He can't get anybody out. Yeah. They're going to blame the manager. I just don't even know where you turn, because every time that someone gets hot, they go to him in a crucial situation. He lets everybody down. I don't know why the inconsistency is so consistent.
I mean, you can't blame the pitching coach on Paul Skeens' velocity right now. I don't think he's hit 100 all year. And this is not the Paul Skeens that we're used to.
It seems as if he's trying to get deeper into games, and I think he wants to pitch to contact a little bit.
But he's not, though, Paul. Yeah.
I know. That's what I mean. whatever he's trying to do isn't working. We know he's human. We knew he was not going to be lights out every single time out, but he's nearly just above average right now sometimes. I mean, that's very difficult to say. He's a generational talent. I think he's going to go down as one of the all-time greats. He right now is not himself.
All right, don't forget about our Penn West University question. I just scan that QR code in the right-hand corner of your screen. How should the Pirates handle Mitch Keller's struggles? Put him in the bullpen. That's not going to happen. Keep starting him. That's probably going to happen. That's 64% of our viewers right now, or trade him. You're not going to get anything for him. There are no good options there. You got to keep starting him, I guess. I mean, maybe take a start off to get his mind right or whatever. I don't know what it is, but you got to do something. You got to do something quick. Maybe skip a start. Put Majinski back in the starting lineup, but you need him there to back up Jared Jones, I guess. So they got some questions that need answered here coming up soon. Let's go back out to the phone lines. We got Bill out in Shippenville. How you doing, Bill?
Not too bad. Keller needs to change his scenery. How many pitchers have left Pittsburgh and had the good careers? There just needs something's wrong there with the coaching staff, and they're just not getting it done.
Bill, I don't know. And I'm not worried about players when they leave here and how they do. I want the players to do well here. So a change of scenery, yeah, it might be good for him, but it's not good for the Pirates because you're not going to get anything for the guy right now. Yeah, you can dump his salary, but what would you get in return, Paul? Nothing.
Yeah, and you're still paying it anyhow. You're not dumping a salary. Those contracts are guaranteed.
But
and
if
Richie,
you traded
him,
I was saying.
Oh, yeah, you trade him, you can get rid of him,
Yeah.
certainly. But you are trading at an absolute horrible time. He could not be at a lower value than he is right now. An ERA over 8, can't seem to get anyone out. 98 pitches to get through 4 innings. That's just so inefficient. I mean, maybe there's a point to the coaching. You better start pitching to contact a little bit. You need to have efficient innings. You need to go, 4 or 5 innings at least without throwing 100 pitches. I don't understand why it takes so many pitches to get that many innings. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, back to Paul Skeens. I mean, he was great. He had a 9-pitch first inning the other night, and that was a rough one for him because that was that 10-run inning in the 7th inning for the Dodgers, which wasn't his fault. Let's go out to the other Bill in Carrick. How you doing, Bill?
Hey, good, Rich. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
You know what? The Pirates ain't going to make the playoffs this year. If they had a bullpen, they'd be in first place in their division. They stink.
You're right. I mean, they've had so many blown saves this year, and it's just hard to count how many. And even if you could win half of them, they'd be right up there in the top half. Look, this was a barometer for me, a litmus test, these last 6 games. You had Atlanta, you had L.A., 1-5 just doesn't cut it. I thought at worst they needed to be 2-4. You get swept by the Braves, didn't look pretty at all. You had disaster of innings against the Dodgers. I mean, you put up some runs, and that looks nice and everything, but your pitching really let you down.
Yeah, that was a big disappointment. You would love to get out of that, 6-game stretch, at 3-3. That would have been outstanding. But we're talking about 2 of the best teams in baseball. And we heard some chatter, coming into these 6 games that maybe the Pirates were a top 5 team in baseball. They were doing so many things well. At one point early last week, they had outscored every single team in the American League. So offensively, they're doing a great job. The bullpen's kind of like, we're kind of a football town. Imagine your football team's playing pretty good offense, scoring a lot of points, pretty solid defense, but the special teams is just, you're missing field goals, you're fumbling punts, you're giving up returns. If you don't have all the things going that you need, you're not going to beat good teams, and that's what happened in these last 6 games. The bullpen and everything else just not up to speed.
I guess the positive, Paul, you can't really fix an offense, and that was their problem last year. I think you can kind of fix a bullpen. Ben Cherington has a lot of work, and I'm sure he's starting right now, but he's got to go out and get some arms if they want to kind of salvage this season.
And Chapman is out there. The Red Sox are going nowhere fast. They're last in the American League East right now. Chapman has familiarity here, 38 years old, but he can still get well over 100. The guy can still get people out. he right now is one of the more effective. I mean, when you're playing for a really bad team and you're still putting up great numbers as a reliever and a closer, I would dangle a lot of really enticing things to the Red Sox right now and try to get Aroldis Chapman in a Pirate uniform for the rest of this season. Yeah,
you need Aroldis Chapman, but I think you need a couple other guys because these guys have been bad in high leverage situations. You see them in low leverage situations, and when the game's out of reach. But the high leverage situations is the problem right now for all these guys. Soto, Santana has been horrible. I could go on and on and on with these guys.
Yeah, and how about, Santana at the end of last year, you think, well, the Pirates have their closer. He's going to be strong. Then he kind of falters, and then Soto looked like the guy, but he's inconsistent. Closers and relievers, like we just mentioned earlier, Dotel, he had, I think, 12 or 13 innings without giving up a run. Then he couldn't get an out. I don't understand how you can be so good and so bad within the same season. Even the way Keller started this season, well under 3 in the ERA. Now he can't even get 5 innings. I don't understand what's gone wrong with these guys.
Yeah, I don't either. You got another tough series coming up here. The Miami Marlins are a decent team. They're close to being 500. I think they're 1 game behind the Pirates right now. So it's a team you can't take lightly. These are 3 important games. You got to win this series.
Richie, they've won 8 of their last 9. The Marlins are one of the hottest teams in baseball. You do have the Athletics on the back end. You have to go out there to play against them. But they better win at least 2 out of 3. It would be really nice if they could get the sweep at home against the Marlins. But the Marlins are one of the hotter teams in baseball right now.
All right, 412-575-2600 is the number. We got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh along with Paul Alexander. Last day of OTAs, Paul. I know a lot of the veterans look forward to this time of the year because they're off until July 28th. But, they're going to have a couple of the young guys stick around up until next week, and then they get the day off. But, you can't really tell much from these OTAs. But I do have a better feeling about this team this time this year than I did this time last year.
I read something today that really got me excited about Mike McCarthy. As soon as your coaches set foot on the field, they start counting down how much time you're allowed to have for the practice. He waits until the very last minute to allow his coaches onto the field so they can get a maximum amount of time to practice. Mike Tomlin wasn't that guy. This guy wants practices to be crisp, to be intense, and they want to get a lot of work done. I think there's a whole new attitude with the Steelers. I'm not sure what that'll mean in the long run, but I know I like it.
Paul, it's definitely way more organized. That's for sure. They're running around, blowing whistles, calling out, where to move to, different sections. It's a different environment over there. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of positions that, the offensive line, that's going to be a very interesting scenario. The receivers are going to be, that 3rd and 4th receiver is going to be crucial. We don't know who it's going to be yet. I love it.
Yeah, it could be Jeremy Bernard and Roman Wilson. Who's going to be the slot guy? Who's going to be the guy on the bench? Thanks a lot, Paul. We'll see you sometime next week, and hopefully we see you guys on KDKA News coming up soon.